Buddy, it's the red zone. Hey, we got bowl games coming around right now. We're getting ready for the playoffs in National Football League. But you know what? We're always scoring touchdowns here at the red zone because we have tons and tons of educators working together, making sure that we get stronger together. Because you know what? We all need these tools known as knowledge to ensure that we're working because our kids are moving all over the United States and we need to know what's working in different parts to ensure one thing student success because we're in the best profession, the profession that creates all the other professions, education. And we're here today with all of this knowledge. Hey, I got a superintendent here. I got a superintendent here. I got a superintendent here. They're looking at it from 60,000 feet in the air, as Dean always says. And we're here together, growing stronger together. What do you think about that, Dean?
Hey, global perspective. We are surrounded by superintendents around the country tonight. And I'll tell you what, that's a fantastic thing because, Josh, you and I both live the land of school-based management. And I'll tell you what, that in itself is a lot of fun. There's no doubt about it. And we have a lot of things we have to carry. But tonight, I think we're going to see a perspective that's going to be what's going to drive what we do. And I'm really interested to hear what they have to say. Hey, everybody, my name is Dean Packard. I'm the principal of Charlton Middle School in Charlton, Massachusetts, one of the co-founders of Unlock the Middle. And alongside me, obviously, I have Josh Tovar from my great state of Texas. And we are so excited tonight to have a different crowd and a different viewpoint about what we do in education. And I'll tell you, we all use kids at the core of what we think about each and every day. And that's the common denominator. But when we have people sitting at the top of the paradigm, we have to make sure that we understand that vision and that strategic plan is 100% ingrained in growth. So again, tonight should be really cool. So, hey guys, welcome to the show. Glad you're here. Why don't we go around the table? Let's start off with Mike and just a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and let's go from there.
Yeah, so Mike Stacy, I'm the superintendent of Beechwood Independent Schools in Northern Kentucky. I've been there 8 years, so it's been a minute. And before that, I was a deputy in Woodford County, horse country, horse farms, Fayette County, Lexington, UK, Scott County, and a couple other places. So I've been around a bit, 27 years in education, and was a first-generation college student. That's always important. From our area, and athletics really kind of got me into that next level of college, and that was kind of the beginning for me.
Let's talk about that athletics thing again. I look back at my own track here, and I started off as a high school basketball coach. Started off as the assistant principal, and then you ascended all the way up to the level of superintendent. Did you see that? Did you see that coming? Is that something that was in your plan?
No, me nor my high school teachers saw that coming. To be honest with you. So I got to college through sports, and I still have a heavy passion for sports because of that. I think if we go all the way back to John Dewey, he said, get kids engaged, keep them engaged, and you have a better chance of making them successful. I'm a prime example of that. Athletics kept me engaged through the early years. And then I was very fortunate to get with some young men and women who had a little bit more of an academic motivation. An injury and a transfer to a smaller liberal arts college. And the next thing you know, I come out as superintendent.
I love that, Mike. That's a great story. We're going to come back to that in a minute. Hey, Joe, great to see you again, man. I know you've been on a few times, so just give everybody a little background.
Hey, how you guys doing? Josh, you forgot the World Cup, man. The World Cup finally. Hey, you're talking football. Let's talk about real football, which is World Cup. Go Argentina. And sorry for the musty hair. I just got back from the office. I was Santa Claus for our Buds program. It's a group of kids with disabilities who are partnering with kids who are typical peers, and they have social events once a month. And tonight was Santa, so that was a blast. But, I got to. If you've never been a Santa, it's awful because the beard stinks and it's itchy and it messes up your hair. So with all that, hey, this is my 31st year in education, my 12th as a superintendent. I am in the Nordonia Hills City School District in beautiful Northeast Ohio, midway between Cleveland and Akron. And I also, of course, you can't have me on without me pushing my book. I'm the author of If the Dance Floor is Empty, Change the Song. Hope you check that out. But also my career has been 10 years of a camp director and about 25 years of a mobile DJ. So a lot of different experiences. But what I'm doing now is superintending in a district of about 3,400 kids.
And you left out LeBron James. We'll circle back to that. And I'll tell you what, that's from a previous show. Thank you, Joe. We're going to come back and we'll close that loop. Peter, you're up.
Hi, everyone. Looks like it's been a while since Mike and I have messed up hair like Joe, but it's all good. Peter Finch, Superintendent of the West Valley School District here in Yakima, Washington. We do have an initiative with a coalition with our community partners throughout our whole region to address any barriers that there are to equity and to ensure that we have culturally responsive instruction and family-friendly schools. And we call that Stronger Together, Más Fuertes Juntos. So I heard Principal Tovar say Stronger Together, but we add a little bit more to our title. So I was raised here in the Yakima Valley. My parents were both teachers. They were both music teachers, raised on the Yakima Nation, the reservation for the 14 Confederated Tribes and Bands of the Yakima Nation. And just had a wonderful experience going through school, and was really supported, academically and socially, and involved in lots of activities and sports and music and everything. And that wound up, I wound up going to Harvard, undergraduate, going here from Central Washington, going to Harvard, then came back, wanted to make a difference in my community. And I got my master's degree at Central Washington University, got my doctorate at Washington State University. Taught for 5 years, and then got the degree to be a principal, see if I could land somewhere. And I landed a job as a principal. I had applied as assistant principal, and a district had heard that I was interested in administration, called me and said, "We know you applied as assistant. Would you be interested in a principal position?" I said, "Sure," went for it. So I was principal for 8 years of a high school over in Western Washington on the other side of the mountains. Then I met my wife. She's from here, the Yakima Valley. So started looking for jobs back here. And landed the job here in West Valley. So I was assistant superintendent for 20 years here in West Valley, and then moved into the superintendency. It's my second year as superintendent. So that's 30 years as a school administrator and 5 years as a teacher. So 35 years in education. But I honestly, we were at a meeting today, and they were talking about the elders, and they were saying I was an elder, one of the elders. And I don't feel like an elder. I still feel like I approach every day as a lifelong learner. We have a great dynamic team here, and I know there's some questions coming up, but I'm looking for people that are willing to take the initiative and help to push me to get better. And all together as a team, we push each other to be better, and just try to take it to the next level each and every day that we're here in our work with kids. And we know that the work that we do as educators across this nation, that is important work. It's really the most important work there is. So, we're motivated every day to do our best for the kids.
Hey, Josh, I think we got people almost the same amount of years that we've had in this business.
Right.
Think about that for a second.
Right?
Huh?
Yeah,
Huh?
we got the old age group here, but
The old age group, the middle age group. That's right. Let's go there. Let's go there with that, okay? We don't know what we're going to be when we grow up yet. It's coming.
Exactly. Hey, well, thanks for sharing your origin story, gentlemen. We really appreciate that, because you know what? Maybe there's this one kid out there in high school wondering how he or she can become a superintendent, because, you guys are around our kids always, or maybe someone in college looking for, because their parents were part of administration and they want to know those origin stories. But let's break it down a little bit more, gentlemen. Let us know a little bit more about you. What do I mean by that? We all get inspiration from different people. Who motivated you? Who inspired you to be an educator? Dr. Finch.
Well, when I was teaching, I came back and taught at Wapato, my alma mater. By the way, there are currently 9 superintendents in Washington State and Oregon that are graduates of my small high school here in Wapato. It's pretty amazing. Wow. So that school, they supported us as kids. When I came back and taught, the principal there, Leroy Workhoven, just a wonderful role model for everyone as an educator, was really focused on having engaging instruction, having meaningful instruction. He said, "I don't want to see a teacher in front of the room teaching." And this is, I guess, a long time ago now. But it's definitely the work that we're doing even today, is to have engagement for kids, have kids have hands-on learning. So make it exciting every day, have a reason to come to school, and project-based learning as well. So those are all things. Leroy was just so well respected and has retired, but still active in the community. Active in Habitat for Humanity, building houses, and just really, really respect Leroy as an educator and a community member and a husband and a father. And just, Leroy's a great role model for everyone, especially for me. I just appreciate, being able to do my internship with him. And also the assistant principal at that time was George Juarez. And the Juarez family is well known in the Yakima Valley. Their parents were migrant workers, and they would be here in the Yakima Valley for the fruit and then go over to the other side of the mountains up in the Mount Vernon area and pick berries and be migrant workers. And that family, there's a very large family. They all have their degrees. Most of them are educators. George was the assistant principal at the time I was doing my internship. Eventually, he became superintendent of Othello. He's now retired, and in retirement, he's coaching basketball because that's a love of his. And his brother, Eli, won the state championship. And Cooper Kupp, who with the Rams, who plays football, was actually on that basketball team as a state title as well. And now Eli and George are in the same league, and they actually recently played each other in the playoffs. So it's just it's great to be in this Yakima Valley. My parents were teachers, as I said, and we just have a great community here, and I'm glad to be a part of it. And like I said, Leroy was a big part of that for my as a role model for me and being part of that community. And so to me, community, it's more than just the school. It's what you do to bring the community together and see yourself not just as an educational leader, but as a community leader, because you have the opportunity as a leader of schools to build connections with the community. And that's why I saw Leroy and George, whereas Leroy Workova and George Juarez, both great role models for me.
Wow. That's awesome. Mike.
Yeah, so I mean, mine's a little different. I spent a lot of time in the principal's office, so I was mentored very early as a young man. But to be honest with you, mine's a little different. I probably took more from coaches just because of my, in high school, it was athletics first and unfortunately academics second. I try to keep that from a lot of my kids at school. But that's just the way it was. And really, I started to pull things from coaches on resiliency. And if you wanted something, you had to set a goal and you had to work for that goal. And you knew hardships would come and there would be challenges, but you had to find a way to work through that both physically and mentally. And really, as I went into college, it was probably more role models. Like I said, when I left the NCAA school and come back to a small liberal arts school, I was hunting for a good dorm room because, I needed air conditioning. And I got in an honors dorm and all these guys and gals, were so focused on academics. And to be honest with you, they inspired me and pushed me just as much as some of my coaches. So I know that's a little bit different direction. But for me, that was kind of my direction.
We all have a story, sir, and we all have a background. And we all got that thing right there, that hook that connects with our spirit down in el corazón. Joe.
Right.
Yeah, my inspiration was a 7-year-old girl named Bryn Alio. If that name Alio sounds familiar to you, it's probably because you watched The Bachelor. I'm sure you guys all watched The Bachelor. Michael Alio is a bachelor. I don't watch it either, but Michael Alio is an Akron kid who is Bryn Alio's brother. Let me tell you my story. So I'm the youngest of 11, 10 older brothers and sisters. We grew up poor, right? There were 4 of us sharing a bunk bed, 2 on the top bunk, 2 on the bottom bunk, free cheese, free lunch kid. My dad worked double shifts at the rubber company, running presses. And so they were not, my parents both went to high school. So college was never discussed in school or with my family. We didn't talk about it. All of my siblings went to college. We're all 11 college graduates, but it was never really any push from my parents. So I knew I was going to college, but I didn't really have any inspiration what I was going to do until I started working at Camp Christopher. And on the very first day of camp, I ran into this 7-year-old girl named Bryn Alio, who cried and cried and cried the whole morning. I was driving the bus. She cried on the entire bus ride to camp. She was in my group. She cried on the whole morning hike until we finally got done with our hike. And I noticed she'd stopped crying. I said, Bryn, you're not crying anymore. What's the story? Don't you miss your mom anymore? She goes, no, you made me forget I had a mom. And that was my hook. That was like, dude, I need to be with kids. Then I watched this movie called Dead Poets Society, and Robin Williams played Mr. Keating, an English teacher. And I thought, I've got to be an English teacher because I can change lives through literature. And of course, 6 years later, teaching Romeo and Juliet 6 times a day to freshmen taught me maybe not. And I went into administration, but that was kind of my story. I was inspired by a kid who showed me that I can make a difference in her life.
Yeah, I got a simple question for you. And do this in like 30 seconds each, if you could. Why the superintendent role? What was the driving force behind that? That's number one. And then I'm going to ask you question B after that. Okay, Mike, why don't you go first? Why superintendency?
Yeah, so I guess number one, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, and number two, I felt like I could do it. I felt like I could manage the stress. I felt like it was the place that I could have the most impact on the most people.
Fair. Peter.
Well, we were looking at a transition, and the school board said, you have this opportunity. Is this what you want to do? And I've been here for 20 years, and I always talk about all the people that were hired as new teachers. They're like mid-career now. So, just really part of this, invested in the community. And we have such good work happening, great work in West Valley, and a focus for, honestly, every kid, success for every kid. And there's people every day working hard for that. So I just wanted to continue to keep the good work moving forward and continue to support all of our staff, teachers and support staff, who are working every day to have success for every kid.
Love it. Joe.
Yeah, I believe firmly that you do not choose the superintendency. The superintendency chooses you. It is all about service. And what I've found in my career is that when you say yes a lot, when people ask for help and you say yes, you find yourself just moving up the ladder, because the superintendency is all about serving others. It's not about power. It's not about having the big desk or the name on the wall. It is, how can I help more people? And so nobody in the right mind wants to be a superintendent. The hours are horrible, right? And people are mad at you all the time. But you're called to it. You're called to it because you need to help other people.
Question B, from 60,000 feet. How do you continue to make sure you connect with kids? Joe.
I dress like Santa, right?
Oh, I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's what it is. I can tell you that I have no idea who my superintendent was when I was in school. I know that every kid in the Nordonia schools knows who the superintendent is, because when I walk down the hall, they're like, "There's Joe Clark. There's Joe Clark," and they know that because I do puppet shows on TV, and I'm Santa Claus, and I go in their classrooms, and I do that because that's what keeps you sane. It's a horrible job, but if you're with the kids and you do those kinds of things, it really makes it pleasurable.
I love it. Thanks, Joe. Mike.
Yeah, so large district, I understand, like, it's very difficult to connect with the kids. I was the bald guy in the suit, but now I'm at a smaller district. I still teach. I teach AP European history, so I have a class starting up in January. So I met with my crew yesterday. It's much easier at a small district, right? You can be visible, you can do different things. I'm at a point in my career where if I want to teach a class, I can teach a class, and that's the way I currently do it.
Awesome. Peter.
Yeah, Principal Tobar, I met through all the work that Principal Cafelli does on Saturday mornings. And like he says, if you don't write it down, if you don't schedule it, it's just a wish. But for me, I schedule time to be in classrooms. I'm in classrooms every week, oftentimes multiple times a week. We schedule it with our principals to be together, to do learning walks together and to debrief together. I schedule time to go with principals. I schedule time with our assistant superintendent. And I'm in classrooms. We have play and learn on Fridays for families with young children. That's to build a positive connection with school. So that's from birth to age 5. So we'll focus on kindergarten readiness. So that's on Fridays. And so we have 6 elementary schools. So we have 3 sessions in the morning, 3 in the afternoon. And I love hitting the play and learn groups, because that's pure fun. It's play and learn, and it's all getting down on the floor and doing the blocks and reading books with kids and just having fun. So that's a really good connection as well. The play and learn is gives you energy when you walk in there, and the families are there. There's young fathers playing with kids. It's just a wonderful environment. So I just schedule it, get out in classrooms, and that's where the action is.
It sounds like you guys never have lost your sight of that kids are why you are where you're at right now. And that's fantastic. Please don't ever lose that. In 30 seconds or less, the biggest challenge you're having in this year right now, post-COVID, first real full year. Let's start off with Mike.
Yeah, so we stayed in school for the most part. So learning loss is not an issue for us. The biggest issue for us is that we still have such a large political divide, and education has become a topic on that national debate, and that divisiveness in the community around every single topic in our state and our nation feeds its way into schools.
Perfect. Good. Peter.
Yeah, another way to connect with students is to have focus groups. So we have focus groups I meet with periodically, and what I'm hearing from focus groups is that like there are like times in our schools where kids are not feeling welcome, and kids are being bullied, and there's like inappropriate slurs being used in the hallways and stuff like that. And so just helping to empower our students that they can talk to a staff member, help to empower staff members so they know what to do when they can address this. And then also, even we've changed our procedures, because in the past it seemed like there was some wiggle room where you could just tell them, oh, knock it off or something like that. But no, we want it to be addressed. We want to know that this is serious, and we're going to put it in your permanent record, and we're going to have a conference, and this is serious. And we're still working on ways to have restorative justice, so the offender realizes that it's not just a joke, and it is offensive, and it's not creating the environment we want for everyone in our schools. So we got work to do, but I know it's the right work for our kids, and we're going to address it as a team. It's all of us working together that's going to make a difference on that.
Love that. Joe.
Yeah, it's politics for us too. We have a very small group, but they're vocal. You know, back in the day, you'd have to work really hard for people to learn that you were an idiot, and now they can find out right away because you have social media, and we give the biggest idiots the loudest microphone. And in our district, there's just a handful of people that are poison. They are poison for the community, and trying to navigate insanity with them that's the biggest challenge. But we've got such great staff and such great, real good, supportive parents that they become kind of white noise. But that's just it can be tiresome, the constant negativity.
Josh.
Hey, you know what, guys? I don't want to go into the next question without you are the visionary for hundreds and hundreds of people. What was the glow so far? Give a specific event that's happened around your sphere, something positive that's happened this semester. So I don't want people to, we complain. We don't do that. Leaders don't complain. We absorb and fix and find solutions. What has been something great that's happened to you guys? Real quick so we could go into the next topic. Peter.
Well, we talk about every student, and I'm really proud to say that, yes, I mean, I'm not proud to say that we have differences when you disaggregate data, that we're having inequitable results on many of our assessments. But I am proud to say that in the work that we're doing on college and the high school and dual credit for our high school kids, I mean, we know that the research shows that if you graduate with a college credit, you're more likely to go to college, and you're more likely to complete your degree at college. And this year, every senior, 100%, every senior is taking college and the high school speech at West Valley High School. We were at 85% on our most recent data, but this year it's going to be 100%. So that's no achievement gap there. That's every kid being successful in a college level class, getting college credit on a transcript and graduating with that and being ready to see, hey, I am college ready.
Love it. Joe.
The National Diversity Council awarded our district an award for inclusion of students with disabilities. We are incredibly proud of that. We do a ton of work making sure that all of our kids feel welcome and engaged in instruction. And part of that is that program I was telling you about earlier today, where we had a bunch of typical peers hanging out with kids with disabilities, playing games and sitting on Santa's lap. So we do a lot more than that. It's good stuff.
Mike, thank you, Joe.
Yeah, honestly, I think this has been the best semester of my entire career. I have a motivated staff. They are very focused on making sure that they're doing everything that needs to be done for our kids. I think coming out of the pandemic, I know a lot of systems have really struggled, but I feel like my crew has really lowered their head and leaned into this part of their journey. And it's shown through our data on both the academic side and the athletic side. We've knocked off 2 state championships this year. And on the academic side or athletic side, and we continue to do well on the academic side. And that's just a direct relation to their work ethic and the culture that has been built to lean into problems as opposed to blame or complain about the situation that we're in.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing the positive things around your sphere of influence. Real quick shout out to our fantastic four, Sheikah and Ross. Thank you for being here tonight. And gentlemen, you all as leaders of leaders, los jefes de los jefes, your job is to sit there in front of the computer, get on committees, all this stuff. What do you all see in an effective leader for kids and for learning communities? Joe.
Service. It is, to me, leadership is service, period, which means you check your ego at the door. It's not about title. Anybody who's thinking about being a superintendent, and the reason they're doing it is because I want to be a superintendent, or I want to make the superintendent's money, or I want to have the big desk, or I want to make the decisions, that's the wrong reason. You become a superintendent because you can help more people. And what I look for in any kind of leader, principals, even teacher leaders, are people that are vulnerable enough to empower others to make decisions. And our role is just to support them.
I love it.
Simple.
Peter.
Yeah, just look for people that are wanting to take the initiative, want to get better, want to be part of a team where we're pushing each other to get better every day. And that's what I really honestly feel that's what we have here in West Valley. And there's examples where there was someone we hired recently and they were saying, well, you have all these evening events for the parents and you want me to be there? And we're like, yeah, that's when the parents can come to the events. He's like, well, I was looking for a 9-to-5 job. I was like, well, maybe that's not for you. So then the person that we hired to take that person's place, he is a graduate here from the Valley, went to Eastern Washington University, came back. It's Michael Garza. That guy is on fire. He was telling me, he went to Toppenish, which is just south of here. It's like, in Toppenish, they had Gear Up. They had all these programs to get us to college campus. And Dylan said, why don't you guys have that? I said, well, we don't qualify for Gear Up, but that's why we hired you. And he's been doing it. He's been taking the kids we had 100 kids go on a field trip up to Central Washington University. And he's doing outreach. He's doing the evening events, and we have a whole team. He actually is a specialist. Our coordinator is Minerva Pardo, who is co-lead for the AASA Family Engagement cohort. So it's just part of a team that we're just pushing each other to get better, and we're always learning. We got book studies going on all the time, and that really does make you better. And it does, we're educators. We're supposed to be learners, right? It's all about learning. So we got to be models of lifelong learning, and then be a part of a community that's making that happen. And then I do think it's nested, where we want to have engaging learning for our adults and engaging learning for our students. And I think when you have that happening in your organization, it does have better outcome for kids.
Beautiful, Peter. Awesome. Mike, what do you see in a leader? What do you look for?
Yeah, so I got 2 columns. All right, on the one side, I want positivity. I want somebody that can show gratitude, and I want somebody that wants to help other people. All right, that's the one column. On the other column, you have to have someone that can build trust. Through all the principles that I've mentored, there's 3 main components to that. Number 1 is consistency. Your people have to know how you're going to respond, period. No matter what the situation, they have to understand and know exactly how you're going to respond. Number 2, you've got to build relationships. And number 3, if you say you're going to do something, you got to do it. You got to put product on the table because all of those 3 things go together to build trust. And without trust, you're not a leader. And if you don't do those other things, you're a bad leader. So those are the 2 columns and the 3 things in each that I look for.
Man, you 3 have so much in common, and I love it. And I think they're absolutely right down the middle of the fairway when it comes to being that type of leader that doesn't have to have the tag, but it does it by example. So really, really good stuff. My question is this: podcasts, from your viewpoint, where you're at right now, how important are they, and how do they help you become better at what you do? I mean, the world after the pandemic has opened up. There are podcasts everywhere in education. You can connect with anybody, anytime. You can learn. I talked to my teachers about that. It takes no effort to be able to log onto a podcast and learn. From a superintendent's role, what does that look like, and how does that help you become fresh in your field or maintain that freshness in your field? And let's start off with Joe with this one.
Yeah, well, I'd say a few things. First of all, your guys' podcast is fantastic, and I think a couple things. I think that I can't imagine that there are a bunch of architects or accountants who are sitting around at a podcast talking about how we could do our job better. It's educators that do this because we are helping other people. So just the inspiration to know that here's a bunch of guys who I know all put in 12 hours today, and you're spending the evening talking because you want to get better. So just that inspiration. And then one idea, if you get one idea out of a meeting, one spark from a podcast, you're learning. And I think that's all you need. That keeps you want to going back to work,
I love that. Peter.
Yeah, I mentioned Principal Cafelli before, but I just think of watching that podcast with him on Saturdays. It's like a tune up for your leadership. And like Joe just said, I mean, every Saturday you're going to pick up a nugget that is going to help you get better as a leader. And it's really good for your self-reflection. We do so much. We're go. But when you take the time to just tune into the podcast, that's really where you are being more self-reflective and thinking, all right, here's what I'm hearing and how can I apply that to the work that I do? So yeah, it's all part of becoming better as a leader. And I think everyone should, everyone realizes it's a lifelong journey, right? You never get there. You're always getting better. But if you're not working on the work, then I think you're just going to be stagnant. I'm always looking to get better, and I want people around me that have that same attitude.
Love that. Always hungry. Great stuff. Mike.
So number 1, listening to podcasts. I think that's a great opportunity for us as educators and leaders to be able to gain a ton of knowledge in a very quick, concise way, especially for someone like me that's an auditory learner. So I really appreciate a lot of the different leadership and educational podcasts as a recipient. Number 2, being on a podcast. Anytime that we're able to discuss our system and our profession and our tasks to other people, number 1, I think it helps us kind of reflect and get our vision down. Number 2, it helps us present because I think my first podcast I was on about 5 years ago, I said 46,000 times, and I was like, what is going on? I'm asking these kids to present and I'm blowing it. So that's always good to help refine your own craft. And then number 3, just the sharing of knowledge, meeting new people. I've researched 3 different districts today and, tried to pull things and that has been phenomenal. And that wouldn't happen without this podcast. So thank you.
Great stuff right there. I love it. And don't be afraid to stand out and do that. And if you know something and you want to share it out, this is a great forum to do it. It's simple and it's easy. And I'll tell you what, sharing the nuggets makes us all better. Absolutely love it. Josh.
Hey, can I share a nugget?
Please.
I saw something on the chat about play and learn groups. So West Valley was named a Lighthouse System for Early Learning by AASA, the superintendent's organization. And so that's for the nation, Lighthouse for the nation. One of the things that we're doing to focus on kindergarten readiness is not only that play and learn on Fridays, but we have home visitors that visit during the week, twice a week. They either go Monday, Wednesday to the family, and they bring a book or educational toy. And then they visit other families Tuesday, Thursday. So it's Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday. Then on Friday, the same staff that are doing the home visiting, they staff the play and learn at all of our elementary schools. And we're inviting families in, not only the families that they do the home visits, but families from the whole district They're all welcome. So everyone's welcome to come in on Fridays to our school and build a positive connection with school. And what Minerva Pardo, our family engagement coordinator, because I always say it's a chance to build a positive connection and a chance to build trust. And she says, yes, it's a chance to build trust or to rebuild trust. Maybe someone didn't have a very good connection with the school, not a very good experience with school.
That, yeah.
Well, here's a chance second time around when they have kids. We want to welcome them, have a great experience, and get their kid off to a great start. Because we know that when kids come in the door, kindergarten ready, they're on a trajectory of success for the rest of their career, educational career, and beyond. So I just think we've landed on this model of the home visitors twice a week out in the community, and then bring everyone in on Friday for play and learn.
And we all have one shot for a first impression. Don't ever forget that. Got to make it the best you can. Absolutely. Josh.
Gentlemen, 15 seconds, closing advice. 15 seconds, Mike, go.
All right, get kids out of their seat. Don't lose our academic standards. Don't lose our expectations, but quit expecting kids to sit in a seat 7 hours a day and get all their inspiration from somebody in front of the classroom when they have one of the most powerful devices in the world in their hands.
Joe.
If the dance floor is empty, change
Here it
that
comes.
song.
It's
You can
simple.
control yourself only. Change your song.
Drop the mic.
Peter.
I would say for leaders that are aspiring for different positions, I would say don't be so worried about your next job. Maximize what you're doing in your current job, your current position, whatever it is. We have paraeducators that have become teachers. We have teachers that become assistant principals that become principals, principals that became assistant superintendent. You never know when the opportunity might arise. But if you're maximizing your potential at your current position, then people are going to notice and they're going to want you to join the team.
You know, guys, I aspire to be a superintendent. I say it all the time. I only have about 3 or 4 years left. But after hearing you guys, I'm inspired to even go harder at this. I mean, I love what I do. There's no doubt about it. And I could do this standing on my head. But you have to have that personal push to want to do a little bit more and to serve others at a higher capacity. The three of you have just given me that little bit of steam that I needed to look at all the hundreds of postings that are in for superintendencies right now, because there are many of them open, to say, hey, maybe I should go that route. Who knows? Never know. Hope nobody's watching from my school right now because they may not like that. But nevertheless, hey, you guys have been fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Josh, I think we scored another.
Hey, you
What?
know what we just did? We just scored
Tell me.
another touchdown on the red zone. We scored another touchdown. Up the A-gap dive. Woo! Cut it right through. Touchdown. Hey, but don't forget, this Sunday, the flagship show, 7 p.m. Eastern, Vincent Taylor will be joining us. And this coming up Tuesday, make sure that you join us at 8 p.m. Dean, 8 p.m. Eastern, office hours, a 20-minute problem-solving show for all of us. Because you know what? Superintendents, authors from books, 20-minute real-life examples. That's what we're all about at Unlock the Middle, making sure that we do not fake the funk and we provide the best tools for success for the United States of America, all our kids. We scored another touchdown. We'll see you at the flagship show. Thank you, Soups, for being here tonight. Appreciate you.
Have a great week, everybody. Thanks for all you do. Remember, kids come first.
Thanks, guys.